everyone, and welcome to Business Bootcamp. I'm Christy, Wright, and today I'm going to give you the practical steps you want and the tough love truth you need to succeed in your business. And today we're talking about how to help more people. I'm guessing you got into business at least in part because you want to help people. You want to make a difference. You want to solve problems. You want to meet needs. You want to make the world a better place. You want to help people. And probably as a part of growing your business, you're thinking, how can I do more of this? How can I help more people? How can I grow this business? How can I make more impact? How can I help more people? Well, you're going to love today's episode because that's exactly what we're talking about. Now, I want to start by sharing with you an experience I had almost 15 years ago that really stuck with me because it sets up our conversation today about how to help more people. So at the time, I was young. I was working at Ramsey Solutions as a project manager, but I really felt called to go into coaching. So life coaching, business coaching, I really felt this pull to get some tools in my tool belt to learn the art, the craft, the skill of coaching. What are the techniques? What are the strategies? How do you lead someone through a process to help them get unstuck or grow their business or reach their goals? What are the techniques I wanted to know? So I decided to enroll in a business coaching school. I had a ton of business background, degrees in business, but I wanted coaching skills. I wanted to understand the practice of coaching. So as a part of my classes, we were learning the techniques and learning the art of silence and how to use questions that bring awareness and how to, repeat back to people what they say to help them really get clarity on what they're saying, what they're thinking, how they're feeling. Well, there was one particular day when we were in a mock coaching scenario between my class and I. And in this scenario, I was the client and I had to come to the class and come to the call with a problem I needed solved. Well, there was one of my classmates named Emil, and his job was to be the coach. He was playing that role of coach, and he was going to coach me live in front of the whole class. So my job was to be a client. His job was to be the coach. Well, as we're working through my problem, and honestly, I don't even remember what my problem was. I think it was something about growing in my career and advancing in my impact. But I said at one point, but I'm not a writer. I said, I'm a speaker. I'm not a writer. And Emil used a very powerful technique in coaching. He used silence. Emil didn't say a word. He just let my words hang in the atmosphere. It was almost like they echoed into the room as I heard the words I said. I'm not a writer. I'm a speaker. I'm not a writer. And as the room sat there and the class sat there and we all sat there in silence, the words I had just said sounded so ridiculous when I said them out loud. And so I said that. I said, well, that sounds really ridiculous when I said that out loud now. How do you think I prepare talks on stage, y'all? By writing them. I write them out. Just like I teach you, I don't get on stage and just wing it. I prepare. I write. I had been writing blogs for years, writing social media posts, writing articles. I was a writer. I just had this idea in my head that I wasn't a writer. But that changed that day. Through that powerful pretend coaching session, I realized I was a writer. And what's so interesting is, once I had that awareness, it set me free to go write. That class was one of many that got me ready to become a certified business and life coach. I had been speaking already for years at that time and continued to speak. That moment helped me feel free and confident to write, so I began writing. And then in 2016, I started my very first podcast called Business Boutique. So I have gone from speaking to writing, to coaching, to podcasting, and gradually and incrementally increasing my influence and my impact and the methods and ways in which I help people. But see, if we have these ideas in our head that we're not that, then we'll never try to be that. We'll never try to do that. And how many people are we keeping from the help that they may need from us because of the limiting beliefs and ideas we have about ourselves? How many people would not have been helped or inspired or encouraged through my books if I continued to believe I wasn't a writer? How many people would have missed out on something that I could bring to the table, bring to their life, if I stayed stuck believing, well, I'm not that? What is that for you? What is that label that you tell yourself, I'm not that? I'm not a speaker. I'm not a writer. I'm not a podcaster. I'm not a coach. I'm not an influencer. I'm not a leader. I'm not professional. I'm just a fill in the blank. I just have this little fill in the blank Etsy shop. I'm just a mom. So often we say things out loud and we actually believe those statements. But what happens is not only are you limited by these statements that you are saying out loud and living into, but other people are limited as well. You are robbing other people from the opportunity to learn from you, to have their faith built by what God did for you, to have their family culture improved by the strategies that you use in your family, to have their nutrition or health or wellness or projects or coaching or finances helped and improved by what you know, by your expertise, by your experience, by what you've tried that has worked. How many people are missing out because you have an idea about yourself of who you are and who you're not, and what you do and what you don't do, just like I did years ago when I said out loud to a room full of people, I'm not a writer. What if I had lived into that? If you want to help more people, and I know that you do, if you want to help more people, you have got to expand your territory. You've got to increase your influence. You've got to increase the ways in which you help people, the methods and strategies that you help people, you've got to expand them. Now, of course, your stories are the same. Your content is the same. Your expertise and experience are the same. This is who you are. It's your wheelhouse. It's your God-given talent or knowledge or story that you bring to the world. But if you are willing to show up in some new spaces, show up in some new places, show up for new people and new audiences, you will help more people than you can possibly imagine right now. There are so many ways to help people. And when you get outside your comfort zone and open your mind to serving and showing up in an additional lane or an additional way, you will be able to help so many more people. You are a teacher and leader and content creator. You have knowledge and experience and stories and perspective and tips and advice that can help people. And there are many, many ways to do it. Now, in today's podcast episode, I want to give you 4 very common, very easy, very accessible ways for you to help more people. And maybe one of these categories you're already doing. Maybe you're already trying 1 or 2, but you might open your mind to the 3rd or the 4th. Maybe you've never tried any of these, but God is even stirring in you even now to maybe be brave, open your mind, and consider that you could do something you never thought you could do. So I'm going to give you 4 ways to help more people. Number 1, speaking. Now, this should not come as a shock to you coming from me, since for the last 2 years, I have very intentionally helped speakers and helped people craft messages and speak on stage with confidence. But speaking is a skill that is available to anyone. Proverbs 18:21 says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." That is the power you have with your voice, with your words, by speaking. Now, don't think just on stage, bright lights, headset, mic, big crowds. Don't think that. I mean just you and your voice to a room, to 2 people or 20 people. It doesn't matter. Just the craft and the art and the skill of speaking, of communicating. How many of you watching or listening right now can think of a specific moment or sentence or phrase that someone said to you at some point in your life and it literally changed the trajectory of your life? How many of you? I bet all of you. I can remember specific sentences that people said to me that was either a timely word that God used to speak to me so directly that I needed in that exact moment, or something that someone said to me when I was young that turned out to be prophetic that I lived into. It was a prophecy and I didn't even know it. Or maybe just an encouragement from a coach, someone that believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself and you wanted so bad to prove them right, and you lived into that belief about you. How many of you can think of a word or phrase or sentence or talk or something that changed your life? I bet every single one of you. Well, guess what? You have that power. You have that power. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. You have the power to speak into being and speak life over people and make a difference, whether it is something so inspirational about how God performed a miracle in your life and you're going to share that testimony even though you're shaking in your shoes, you're nervous, your palms are sweaty, you don't know if it sounds like you're bragging, you're not a professional speaker, but you just feel like you've got to tell the testimony of what God did. Whether it is something so inspirational like that builds the faith of everybody that hears it, or it is something so practical, like how you make peanut butter and jelly the night before that helps you have smoother mornings with your kids. Household rhythms and systems, parenting strategies that reduce the chaos in your home. Just recently, I shared an episode on my faith-based show, Get Your Hopes Up, and it was 10 parenting strategies that changed my life. It was simple, practical, tactical. One of the steps, y'all, was an item. One of the steps, if you listen to that episode, was headphones. Headphones have changed my life. I can be calm, regulated, and present for my screaming toddler if I can't hear the screaming. Headphones have literally changed my life. That's simple and practical. Maybe the content that you speak about and the content that you share is simple and practical and tactical or actionable. Maybe it's informational. Maybe it's analytical. Maybe it's detail-oriented. But either way, it's valuable. It's valuable. I just want to remind you that what is obvious to you is not obvious to everyone else. What is easy for you is not easy for everyone else. There are countless people out there that could benefit right now today from what you know. That is the truth. There are people that are further behind than you, people that are earlier in their journey, people that just don't have the strengths that you have. They don't have the experience that you do. They don't know what you know. And if you're willing to speak, just talk about what you know. You can speak on a stage or in a classroom, in a lunchroom, at a college auditorium. You can speak online through Instagram Lives or Facebook Lives. You can show up for virtual events. You can do webinars and workshops. There are a million different formats. The format doesn't matter if you're not willing to show up and use your voice and speak. If you want to help more people, a great way, an easy way that you could start right now today for free is to speak. Don't worry about being a speaker. Just speak. Tell the world what you know. Add value. Tell the testimonies of what God has done for you. Share the advice, the experience, the expertise that you have, and watch how you instantly help more people with your voice. The first way to help more people is to speak. Number 2, write. I share the experience where I had this mental block around writing. I saw myself as a speaker, not a writer, and that was a real challenge for me. And maybe it's a challenge for you too. Maybe you think to yourself, I'm not a writer. How do I even get started writing? Well, the advice I just gave you about speaking, don't worry about being a speaker, just speak, applies here as well. Don't worry about being a writer, just write. When you write, you are going to be able to reach people in a way that speaking can't. And as a bonus, when you write things, then people, as they consume your content through the written word, they can refer back to it. See, if you go to church and you hear an amazing sermon, unless that sermon is posted online later, you can't refer back to it. And you probably can't easily find that spot where he said that scripture that you really, really needed and you didn't write it down at the time. It's really hard to refer back to things when it's an audio format such as speaking. But writing, oh man, you can save it. You can cut out quotes. You can put them on your computer, on your mirror. You can stitch them on a pillow. You can put them all over your house, visible to remind you of that truth or that thing that helped you. Writing is an amazing way to impact people that they can save and refer to and reference. You know, one of the side effects of my book, Business Boutique, that I did not anticipate or expect when I wrote the book is it really became a reference book. So many people, and myself included, we read books and we read it one time and we close it and either put it on the bookshelf or donate it or whatever. We don't go back to it again and again. Not Business Boutique. People would bring their Business Boutique books to events and show me how all of the pages were earmarked and highlighted and sticky notes, and it looked like a textbook. It looked like something that they referenced again and again and again because they did. When you write, you provide value to people in a way that they can consume and reference and use and be helped by over and over and over. Writing is also especially powerful because writing is the foundation of many other crafts. If you become a good writer, you can become a good marketer through your emails or your landing pages or your website copy. If you become a good writer and you work on this skill and this craft, well, then now you know how to write stage talks or podcast episodes or courses or webinar content. Every other craft has its foundation in writing. Writing is a very powerful way to help more people. So whether it is a book or ebook or blog or Instagram carousel with a long caption, or it's something on Threads, or it's something you post somewhere else online on your website, writing is an incredible way to instantly help more people. Just like speaking, it's free and you can start today. Share your content and your value with the world through writing and watch how you're able to help a lot more people. Number 3, coaching. I remember in 2010, I believe it was, I was on a girls' trip with some of my friends and we were in Miami on the beach and we were sharing our goals for the next year. Like by this time next year, we want to have done what? And I remember saying out loud, even though I was really vulnerable and I felt really nervous, even in front of my friends, to say this dream out loud, I said, I think I want to become a certified business and life coach. Now, I had no previous technical coaching experience. And so I was a little nervous to say this out loud, even to my best friends, because I thought, are they going to think this is silly? Who do you think you are? The imposter syndrome was loud. Like, I don't know if I can do this. It's a 2-year program I would be enrolling in. Would I even get a client? How would this even work? And I remember their response was overwhelming. It wasn't just positive. It was obvious. Every single one of my friends said, well, of course. Well, obviously. Christy, you already do it. Christy, you do that for us all the time. You're coaching people on how to run their first marathon or how to get out of debt with the Dave Ramsey principles. You're coaching people all the time. Might as well go into this and really do it. I was so encouraged by their feedback, but I think that reminder is powerful for you too. You're probably already doing this, friend. You're probably already doing it. Think of your conversations with your friends and family. Think of how people come to you and ask you questions and ask you for advice, or ask you for strategies, or they want you to help them problem solve. They want you to brainstorm with them. The core of that is coaching. What if you helped people that you're already helping in a new way? What if you helped more people and in a new way? What if you helped them in a personalized way? In a way where you were in their corner, holding their hand, walking with them step by step, where it wasn't just a course format or a podcast format or a speaking or writing format directly from you to the group, but it was more customized, personalized, intentional, even intimate. Years ago, I had a coaching group called Business Boutique Academy, and I loved working with these women. I loved walking with them. I heard their stories. I knew their businesses. I knew their pain points. I knew their strengths. I walked with them month after month. When COVID hit in 2020, I did this 1-week series showing up every single day of how we were going to pivot instantly and what we could do. We were in it together. That relationship between a coach and a client or a coach in a group is so sacred. I now have my coaching group called the Goal Getters Club, and we focus not just on business, but on life. I know these women, and we have a few men too. I know them as well. I know their businesses, their families, their struggles, their goals. I'm working with them and walking with them month after month. It is one of the most rewarding things that I do, getting to coach people. Now, you can decide what coaching looks like for you. Maybe you want to coach groups, small groups like 10 to 20 people, or large groups like in my case with hundreds of people in Goal Getters Club. You might want to do just one-on-one coaching. Now, there is a challenge there that doesn't scale, and you can kind of get in that dollar per hour treadmill trap that you're going to have to figure out as well. But coaching is such a powerful way to help people. If you're a relational person and you love getting in the weeds, working through problems, getting to know people intimately and personally, coaching is a great thing for you to look into. Now, we'll tell you, unlike speaking and writing, coaching is not something you can necessarily start tomorrow. You've got to have a little bit of intentionality to what you offer, what the promise is, what you charge, how you deliver your services. Is it on Zoom? Is it on the phone? Is it in person? You need to think through a few things, whereas right now you could go write or speak and you wouldn't have to think through much. But in the coaching industry, there is so much potential for you to use your gifts, your content, your expertise, your knowledge, and your story in a way that will help people in a completely different way than you're doing right now. Coaching is a great way to help more people. And then number 4, podcasting. If you are listening to this right now, you are listening to my podcast. This show is Business Bootcamp, which is a business series on my main Christy Wright podcast channel, where I also host another show, Get Your Hopes Up, where I help you get to know God, get closer to Him, and get your hopes up again. Both of these shows, both Get Your Hopes Up and Business Bootcamp, are on the Christy Wright podcast channel, but you'll also find on this channel the Christy Wright Show, which were episodes that I aired between 2020 and 2021. And then before 2020, I had another show called Business Boutique from 2017 to 2020. All of these shows are here on the Christy Wright podcast channel. All of them are podcasts. Let me tell you why I love podcasting. You can help so many people. It's pretty easy to set up. It's pretty easy to maintain. It's a lot of fun to record, and you have no idea the ripple effect of how many people can be helped by this one medium. How many of you listening to this right now have at some point in your life shared a podcast episode? Either you shared it on your social media or you sent it to a friend. You've got to listen to this. I have. I've also received recommendations on podcasts from friends all the time. It's a great way to grow your platform, grow your influence, and help more people because it's so easily shared. Similar to the other content that you put out, like speaking and writing, it can be inspirational based, it can be tactical and informational, it can be interview based where you interview people, it can be fun and silly and playful and comical, or it can be serious and intense and really like help people in a deep way. You can decide what podcast is right for you. But podcasting is a great way to help more people. Having a podcast also gives you something really powerful for everything that you're doing. It gives you a megaphone. So when I worked at Ramsey, this was a really common term that we threw out because so much of Ramsey was successful because of the Dave Ramsey Show. So you have this megaphone that millions and millions and millions of people are listening to every single week, that then funnels them into other tools, classes, and solutions that would support them. So many of the businesses benefited from this top of funnel megaphone where lots of people are getting help, lots of people are getting hope, lots of people are getting steps and encouragement. And they think to themselves, well, I want to take the next step. I need a book, I need a plan, I need a course, I need a class. And they would naturally move into taking those steps with Ramsey Solutions. If you have a business or you have a brand or you have content, a podcast is a great megaphone. You're not limited to the algorithms of social media. And if you put out really good content, your show will grow. You will help people, and some people will take that next step with you to buy your book or buy your class, and some won't. And you know what? That's awesome because they are still getting helped. And what's really cool about podcasting is that it allows you to use your skills in speaking and writing and even coaching in a completely different way where you're really working these together and offering them to the market and helping even more people. Speaking, writing, coaching, and podcasting are 4 skills that are easily transferred from one craft to the next. And since I've been doing all 4 of these for the last 15 years, I'm excited to teach you how to get into each of them. That's why I created my brand new Learn a New Craft Masterclass series. This is for anyone curious about learning how to get into speaking, writing, coaching, or podcasting. The Learn a New Craft Masterclass series will be on October 21st through 24th. October 21st will be for speaking, October 22nd for writing, October 23rd for coaching, and October 24th for podcasting. You can sign up for 1 masterclass or 2, 3, or 4. Each masterclass is $97, but if you sign up for all 4, you get it for $297, which is a 25% discount. You can go to newcraftmasterclass.com to get your spot. I'm going to teach you how to transfer skills that you probably already have into a new arena so you can help more people in more ways. Go to newcraftmasterclass.com to get your spot today. All right, y'all, that's it for this week's episode of Business Bootcamp. I love hanging out with you to teach you the practical steps you want and the tough love truth you need to succeed in your business. I'm Christy Wright, and I'll see you next time.